Psychology of money. Have you ever wondered why two people can earn the same amount of money, yet end up with completely different financial outcomes? One builds quiet wealth and lives in peace. The other drowns in debt and stress. It's not luck. It's not intelligence. It's something far deeper, something hidden in plain sight. Their psychology. Welcome to The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, a book that will change the way you see money forever. Most people believe money is about numbers, income, budgets, investment returns, spreadsheets. But Housel shows us something revolutionary. Money isn't just math, it's behavior, it's emotion, it's decisions made in the quiet corners of our minds, often under pressure, often without logic. The gap between being rich and staying rich, between saving and spending, between fear and patience, lies in how we think, not what we know. Think about it. We don't make financial decisions on Excel sheets. We make them at the dinner table, in traffic, after a long day, when we're scared or excited or desperate for validation. That's why understanding the psychology behind our decisions is the key to transforming our financial lives. This isn't a book about the stock market. It's not about what to invest in. It's about how to think clearly in a world that constantly tries to confuse you. It's about timeless truths, not trendy tips. It's about understanding that your behavior, the way you handle greed, fear, envy, risk, and uncertainty, will always outweigh how much you know. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn life-changing lessons. Why most people misunderstand wealth. Why saving has little to do with income. Why enough is the most powerful word in finance. And how freedom, not luxury, is the real measure of success. Morgan Housel combines deep insights with unforgettable stories to reveal the human side of money. From lottery winners who end up bankrupt, to billionaires who die with nothing left but regret, to janitors who retire rich. This book isn't just full of facts. It's full of wisdom. And here's the truth. You don't need to be a genius to master money. You need to be thoughtful. You need to be patient. You need to be aware of your tendencies before they sabotage you. So if you've ever felt like money is a mystery, or like you're doing everything right, but still getting nowhere, or if you just want to finally feel in control of your financial life, this video is for you. Because it's not what you know about investing. It's how you think about money, fear, greed, and risk. And starting now, you'll never see money the same way again. Chapter 1. No one's crazy. When it comes to money, no one is crazy. That might sound strange at first, especially when you look around and see people making decisions that seem reckless, irrational, or outright foolish. But Morgan Housel invites us to take a step back. He reminds us of something powerful. Every financial decision a person makes sense to them in that moment. Why? Because everyone sees money through the lens of their own unique life experience. Think about it. If you grew up during a time of economic hardship, like a recession or hyperinflation, you might see saving as the ultimate financial virtue. On the other hand, if you've only known rising markets and steady jobs, you might feel more comfortable taking risks. One person may hoard cash because they've experienced scarcity. Another might borrow freely because they've never known what it's like to struggle. Your view of money isn't shaped by logic. It's shaped by history. Your history. What you've seen, what you've lived, what you've feared, what you've been told by your parents, your culture, your friends. That's why someone who refuses to invest in stocks isn't necessarily ignorant. They might remember watching their parents lose everything in a market crash. It's also why someone can take out a massive loan and feel confident. It might have worked for them before. Housel makes a crucial point. Experience is more powerful than education when it comes to how we handle money. A Harvard degree in economics won't change the trauma of watching your family lose their home. And no amount of data can override the feelings you associate with financial risk. So before we judge others, or even ourselves, for the way we handle money, we need to understand this. We're not broken. We're just shaped. You're not bad with money. You've just had a different life. There is no single right way to view money, because we all arrive at our beliefs from different paths. But once we become aware of the stories we carry, once we realize that our money behavior is rooted in memory, not logic, we can begin to change. This chapter gives us our first piece of wisdom. Have empathy for others and for yourself. Because no one's crazy. We're all just doing our best with the tools life gave us. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. We love to believe that success is the result of hard work, talent, and smart decisions. And often it is. But Morgan Housel reminds us that luck and risk, those invisible forces we can't control, play a much bigger role in financial outcomes than we're comfortable admitting. Take the story of Bill Gates. He's one of the richest and most successful people in modern history. But what most people don't know is this. Gates attended one of the only high schools in the entire world that had a computer in 1968. At that time, computers were rare, expensive, and mostly reserved for research labs and universities. Yet Lakeside School had one, and that changed Gates's life. Now consider his classmate Kent Evans. He was just as smart, just as driven, and one of Gates's closest friends. He was supposed to go on to start a company with him, but Kent died in a mountaineering accident before they could begin. His story ended before it even had a chance to grow. Same environment, same opportunities, two very different outcomes. One shaped by luck, the other by risk. That's the uncomfortable truth of this chapter. Outcomes are never solely based on effort. You can make all the right choices and still face loss. You can make reckless decisions and still win big. Life is messy. Money is unpredictable. And success doesn't always go to the most deserving. It sometimes goes to the luckiest. This doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. It means you should stay humble. Don't take all the credit when you win. And don't assign all the blame when others lose. It's easy to look at someone who's struggling financially and assume they're lazy or irresponsible. But maybe they encountered risks you never had to face. Just as it's easy to admire someone wealthy and believe they're a genius, when perhaps they were simply in the right place at the right time. Housel's message is clear. Be careful when judging both success and failure. Luck and risk are siblings. They're unpredictable, invisible, and often misunderstood. So, be proud of your hard work, but wear your success lightly. Stay grounded, stay kind, because not all victories are earned and not all losses are deserved. Chapter 3. Never enough. There's a dangerous illusion in the world of money, the belief that if you just had a little more, you'd finally be satisfied. But Morgan Housel issues a warning. The inability to recognize enough is the fastest way to lose everything. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is loud. It's flashy cars, big houses, and expensive vacations. Wealth is quiet. It's money not spent. It's security, freedom, and peace of mind. And here's the twist. Many rich people aren't wealthy, and many wealthy people don't look rich at all. To understand the cost of chasing more, look no further than Bernie Madoff. Madoff was already a multimillionaire. He had a respected investment firm. He had everything, more than enough by most standards. But it wasn't enough for him. He wanted more fame, more money, more control. So he built one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history. For years, He lied to investors, faked returns, and lived in luxury until it all collapsed. In the end, he lost everything: his freedom, his fortune, and even his family. He died in prison, disgraced. And the tragedy? He didn't need to do it. He already had enough to live 10 lifetimes in comfort. But the greed to keep going, to never be content, destroyed him. This isn't just a story about one man. It's a mirror. Ask yourself honestly, what's your enough? Is it a certain salary? A type of car? A lifestyle you think will finally make you feel successful? Or is it peace of mind? Time with your family? The freedom to walk away from a job or situation that doesn't serve you? Housel reminds us, the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Without a sense of enough, even great fortunes can be lost in the pursuit of more. Because chasing more doesn't have an end. It's a treadmill that speeds up with every step. So define your enough. Protect it. Respect it. Because real wealth isn't found in having everything. It's found in knowing what you can walk away from. And in the end, enough is the most valuable number in the world. Chapter 4. Confounding Compounding. We often admire Warren Buffett for his investing genius, but here's something most people overlook. The reason Buffett is so wealthy isn't just because he's a good investor. It's because he's been a good investor for a very, very long time. Buffett started investing when he was 10. Today, he's in his 90s. That's over 80 years of letting his money grow. And here's the shocker. Over 90% of his net worth came after his 65th birthday. Not because he suddenly got smarter, but because compounding had decades to work its quiet magic. This is the central message of Morgan Housel's 4th chapter. Compounding is so powerful, it's almost impossible to comprehend. It doesn't work like regular math. It doesn't excite us in the short term. But over time, its effects are staggering. And the secret to unlocking its full potential? Patience. Imagine 2 investors. One earns average returns for 40 years. The other earns amazing returns, but only for 10. Who ends up wealthier? The one who stays in the game longer. Why? Because time beats brilliance when compounding is involved. The problem is, we're wired for speed. We want fast results. We celebrate short-term wins. But compounding rewards the opposite: endurance, not excitement. Think of it like planting a tree. At first, nothing seems to happen. Then slowly, roots grow, the trunk thickens, and after years of waiting, suddenly it towers above everything around it. That's what wealth does when left alone to grow. Quiet at first, then unstoppable. Buffett's true genius isn't just in picking stocks, it's in being consistent and patient for decades. He didn't get rich by chasing trends. He got rich by letting time do the heavy lifting. Here's the truth. You don't need to be the smartest investor in the room. You just need to start early, stay consistent, and resist the urge to interrupt the process. Let this be your takeaway. Compounding doesn't reward intensity. It rewards longevity. So start now. Stay the course. And remember, your most powerful financial tool isn't a fancy strategy or a hot tip. It's time. And the sooner you respect it, the sooner it will start working for you. Chapter 5. Getting Wealthy. Vis, staying wealthy. Getting rich and staying rich are 2 completely different skills. One requires boldness, risk-taking, and big swings. The other? Restraint, caution, and discipline. In the world of money, offense gets you wealthy, but only defense keeps you there. It's easy to admire entrepreneurs, investors, and risk-takers who build fortunes from scratch. Their stories make headlines. But Morgan Housel wants us to look deeper. Because for every person who gets rich, There are countless others who lose it all trying. Why? Because they mastered the art of growing money, but never learned how to protect it. Staying rich is about surviving. It's about not blowing up. It's about being able to wake up tomorrow and still be in the game. And to do that, Housel emphasizes a powerful trio: frugality, paranoia, and humility. Frugality is the foundation. It's not about being cheap. It's about understanding that what you don't spend gives you options, freedom, and resilience. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the money you could have spent, but chose not to. Living below your means isn't just smart. It's protective. Paranoia might sound negative, but in finance, it's healthy. The most successful investors always assume something could go wrong. They prepare for market crashes, job loss, inflation, emergencies. They don't panic when chaos comes because they expected it. That mindset doesn't weaken you. It protects you. Humility is the glue. It's the awareness that you're not invincible, that you don't know everything, that luck played a role in your success, and that the future can surprise you. Humility keeps you grounded. It stops you from overreaching, over-leveraging, and overestimating your own brilliance. You see, getting rich is exciting. Staying rich is boring. But lasting wealth isn't built on excitement. It's built on endurance. And endurance only comes when you play great defense. Don't just ask how to make money. Ask how to keep it. Don't just think about returns. Think about risks. Because surviving, year after year, decade after decade, is what turns small wins into lasting fortunes. So here's your mindset shift. Getting money is a sprint. Keeping it is a marathon. And if you want to build real, lasting wealth, learn to play both games. Chapter 6. Tails, You Win. In the world of money and investing, not all outcomes are created equal. Morgan Housel introduces a mind-shifting truth in this chapter. Most success comes from just a few standout moments, what he calls tail events. In statistics, a tail refers to the extreme ends of a distribution curve, rare events that fall far outside the average. In life and in finance, these rare events, positive or negative, often shape our entire story. And in investing, they account for the majority of returns. Let's take Warren Buffett again. He's made thousands of investments in his lifetime. But did you know that over 90% of his wealth comes from just a handful of those investments? Just a few tails, outliers like Coca-Cola and Apple, accounted for the bulk of his fortune. Not everything he touched turned to gold. But the few that did, they made all the difference. The same applies to companies. Amazon, for example, built hundreds of products over the years. Most failed or were forgotten. But the few that succeeded, Prime, AWS, Kindle, were so impactful that they more than covered for every flop. Here's the point. In investing, you don't need to be right all the time. You just need to be right big once in a while. That's good news, because it means you can forgive yourself for mistakes. You can have average days, bad months, and failed experiments, as long as you stay in the game and give yourself a shot at catching a tail event. But there's a catch. Tail events are rare and unpredictable. You can't schedule them. You don't know when or where they'll show up. So the key is to stay consistent, patient, and open-minded. Keep placing small, smart bets. Keep learning. Keep showing up. Eventually, the tail comes, and when it does, it changes everything. Housel's lesson here is one of perspective. Don't judge success by averages. Look for the outliers. In life, relationships, careers, and money, it's often the few big wins that carry the whole journey. So give yourself permission to fail, just not to quit. Because the future doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs one or two extraordinary moments. And when that tale lands in your favor, you win. Chapter 7. Freedom. At its core, money isn't just a tool for buying things, it's a tool for buying freedom. Morgan Housel's 7th chapter reveals a simple but profound truth. The true power of money lies in the control and autonomy it gives you over your life. Think about it. When you have money, you don't just buy stuff, you buy time, you buy choice. You buy the ability to walk away from a job you hate, to pursue the passion that fuels you, to take risks without the fear of losing everything. You gain the freedom to design your life on your own terms. But here's the catch. Many of us miss this. We think the goal of wealth is to accumulate things. Luxury cars, extravagant vacations, endless material possessions. But what if the real goal is something simpler? What if the goal is to have more time for what matters to you most? Ask yourself, if you had all the money you wanted, what would you do differently tomorrow? Would you quit your job? Spend more time with family? Travel? Start that business you've always dreamed of? Or would you keep doing exactly what you're doing, just with more stuff? Housel challenges us to rethink what financial success really means. It's not about the accumulation of things. It's about gaining the freedom to make choices. Choices that align with your deepest desires, not someone else's expectations. Money, then, becomes a tool for a life that feels purposeful and fulfilling. The ultimate wealth isn't owning the most toys. It's owning your time. The freedom to decide how you spend each day. The ability to choose when to work, when to rest, and when to explore new horizons. What does this look like in practice? It means designing your life so that you're not shackled by debt, job obligations, or the need to constantly hustle. It means having enough saved up or invested that you can step away from the grind without worrying about where your next paycheck will come from. Real wealth, according to Housel, is freedom. The freedom to live life on your own terms. And if you want to build real wealth, focus on purchasing freedom, not just things. Because once you realize that time and autonomy are the most precious assets you can own, everything else falls into place. So, what would you do with your freedom? The answer to that question holds the key to how you'll define your wealth. Chapter 8. Man in the Car Paradox. We often think that the things we own will impress others, whether it's a flashy car, an expensive watch, or a luxurious house. But Morgan Housel flips this common belief on its head in Chapter 8, revealing a powerful truth. People don't admire you for your stuff. They admire the idea of themselves having it. This is what Housel calls the man in the car paradox. Imagine you're driving a brand-new high-end sports car. You pull up to a stoplight, and a person in another car glances over. You might think they're admiring your taste, your success, your wealth. But here's the kicker. They're not admiring you. They're imagining what it would feel like if they were driving that car. The car, the watch, the house, these things don't make you special in other people's eyes. Instead, they serve as symbols of what they might want for themselves. The status associated with those things is an illusion, an idea that others project onto you. This paradox reveals the emptiness of status. We often work tirelessly to impress others, to build a reputation or an image, thinking that our possessions will make us worthy of admiration. But the truth is, most people are too busy dreaming about what they want to buy or achieve to really care about what you have. In the end, status isn't about the things themselves. It's about the feeling of wanting more. Housel's message here is simple, yet profound. Status is an illusion. The cars, the houses, the designer clothes, they're fleeting symbols that don't create lasting happiness or fulfillment. We're often chasing these things to feel important, to feel validated. But in reality, others are doing the same thing. caught in the same cycle of desire. So, if you're investing in status, think twice. The admiration you think you'll receive isn't nearly as satisfying as the peace that comes from realizing you don't need to prove anything to anyone. True wealth isn't about showing off. It's about freedom. Freedom from the need to impress, and freedom from the illusion that things will bring you lasting happiness. When you let go of the need for status, you start to focus on what truly matters: your own values, your happiness, and your own sense of enough. Chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with images of wealth: luxurious homes, flashy cars, extravagant vacations. It's easy to think that the people who display their wealth are the ones who are truly wealthy. But Morgan Housel offers a refreshing perspective in Chapter 9. Wealth isn't about what you show, it's about what you don't. Spending money may make you look rich, but true wealth is built quietly, behind the scenes, and it often goes unnoticed. Saving money, investing it wisely, and keeping your lifestyle modest are the real signs of financial success. Think about it. The wealthiest people often live below their means. They're not the ones flaunting the latest luxury items or showing off their spending on social media. Instead, they're focused on accumulating and preserving their wealth, building a safety net that allows them to have options, security, and freedom. Their wealth is invisible, tucked away in savings accounts, real estate, or investments that don't scream status. This is the secret of invisible wealth. You don't see it because it's not about flashiness. It's about longevity. Wealthy individuals understand that money is a tool for freedom, not for showing off. They aren't seeking validation from the world through material possessions. Instead, they're seeking financial independence, the ability to choose how they spend their time, where they live, and what they do. And that's a quiet form of wealth that most people will never notice. Spending money is easy, but building real wealth requires discipline. It's about making conscious decisions to save rather than spend, to invest rather than indulge. This is how true wealth is built, not through appearances, but through choices that prioritize the future over the present. So next time you see someone living large or driving a fancy car, remember this: their outward display of wealth may be a signal of lifestyle, not true financial security. Wealth is what you don't see: the quiet saving, the disciplined investing, the choices that build a stable, secure future. Real wealth isn't about looking rich, it's about being rich, in freedom, in choice, in security. And that kind of wealth is far more powerful than anything that can be bought with a swipe of a credit card. Chapter 10. Save money. When we think about building wealth, we often focus on income, investments, or finding the next big opportunity. But Morgan Housel simplifies the equation in Chapter 10, reminding us that saving money is the real key to financial freedom, and it has little to do with how much you earn or how well your investments perform. The true power of saving is in what it buys you: freedom. Freedom from financial stress. Freedom from the fear of emergencies. Freedom from the need to work endlessly just to make ends meet. Saving isn't about depriving yourself. It's about creating options. It's about choosing how you spend your time, your energy, and your resources. Housel's famous quote in this chapter is a wake-up call. Building wealth has little to do with your income or investment returns, and lots to do with your savings rate. What does this mean? Simply put, it means that no matter how much you earn, your wealth is determined by how much you save, not how much you make. Think about it. If you earn $100,000 but spend $99,000, you're left with very little. On the other hand, if you earn $50,000 but save $20,000, you're making far more progress in the long run. The savings rate is the hidden driver of wealth. It's not about earning more money. It's about controlling your spending and consistently saving over time. Even modest savings, when compounded over decades, can lead to significant wealth. And the best part? Saving isn't dependent on external factors. It's entirely within your control. But there's a mental shift that needs to happen. Saving isn't a sacrifice. It's an investment in your future. It's the most powerful way to take control of your life. It doesn't feel glamorous. You won't get accolades for saving. But the freedom that comes with financial security is worth far more than any short-term indulgence. The beauty of saving is that it opens doors. With enough savings, you can take risks, leave a job you don't like, pursue a passion, or retire early. It gives you the freedom to live life on your own terms. So, the next time you feel tempted to splurge or live beyond your means, remember this: saving is not deprivation. It's the gateway to freedom, and it's the foundation of lasting wealth. The more you save, the more you control your destiny. Chapter 11. Reasonable greater than rational. In the world of investing and personal finance, we often hear about being rational, making decisions based purely on logic, numbers, and efficiency. But Morgan Housel challenges this in Chapter 11, suggesting that reasonable decisions are more important than rational ones. People aren't always perfectly logical, but they can be reasonable, and that's what truly matters in the long run. Rational decision-making is about maximizing returns, minimizing risk, and always choosing the mathematically best option. But that's not how real people think. Housel points out that emotion, fear, and personal comfort play a massive role in our financial decisions. And that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's healthier to make reasonable decisions that align with your peace of mind rather than rigidly following the cold, hard logic of what might be the best choice on paper. Take, for example, someone who prefers to invest in low-risk, low-return options, even though higher-risk investments could potentially yield more. Rationally, they might be leaving money on the table. But if those lower-risk investments help them sleep at night, free of anxiety about market swings, then they've made a reasonable decision, one that suits their own personal comfort and life goals. The key is that it works for them. Housel stresses that financial success is not just about maximizing wealth. It's about avoiding mistakes that would make you uncomfortable. If chasing a higher return leads to sleepless nights or a life of constant stress, then it's not worth it. After all, the goal of money is to give you freedom and peace, not to enslave you to the pursuit of ever-increasing returns. This principle also applies to life outside of finance. It's better to live a reasonable life where you're happy with your decisions, even if they're not the most rational, than to live with the constant fear of making mistakes or falling behind. Reasonable. Rational means accepting that you don't have to always make the best financial decisions in terms of numbers. You just need to make the right decisions for you. Your peace of mind is the true measure of wealth. If a lower return makes you feel more secure, then that's a win. At the end of the day, being reasonable in your financial choices leads to sustainable wealth and a life where you feel in control. And that's more valuable than any fleeting moment of financial perfection. Chapter 12. Surprise. One of the most important lessons in personal finance and investing is that the future is unpredictable. Morgan Housel emphasizes this in Chapter 12, where he highlights the unpredictable nature of life and the importance of being adaptable over trying to predict what will happen. The most significant events in life, those that shape our wealth, careers, and personal journeys, are often the ones we never saw coming. Whether it's a market crash, an unexpected job opportunity, or a breakthrough innovation, life has a way of throwing curveballs that we can't anticipate. And this is especially true in the world of investing. Predicting the next big trend or the best performing stock might seem like a smart move, but history shows us that the most monumental shifts happen outside of our predictions. Remember, the rise of tech giants like Amazon, Apple, and Tesla wasn't something most experts saw coming in the early days. What does this mean for you as an investor or someone focused on building wealth? Househel's core message here is that adaptability is more valuable than prediction. Instead of trying to guess the future, focus on building the flexibility to navigate the unexpected. If you're constantly adjusting to new opportunities, learning from setbacks, and recalibrating your strategy based on new information, you're in a far better position than someone who believes they can predict the next big thing. The key to success, therefore, is resilience, the ability to stay flexible and open to new possibilities, rather than holding tightly to a single plan or expectation. While it's important to have a strategy, it's even more crucial to be ready to adjust when life inevitably surprises you. Adapting isn't just about reacting to setbacks. It's about capitalizing on the opportunities that others overlook. The most successful people don't get caught up in the need to be right. They get caught up in the ability to learn, pivot, and evolve. So, don't obsess over predicting the next market shift or economic crisis. Instead, build your financial foundation in a way that allows you to weather uncertainty with confidence. Whether the market rises or falls, whether the economy booms or crashes, your adaptability will determine your success, not your ability to predict the future. In the end, the surprise events are the ones that make life interesting, and those who can adapt to them are the ones who ultimately thrive. Chapter 13. Room for Error. In life and investing, one of the most essential principles is the recognition that the future is uncertain. No matter how much we plan or prepare, we cannot predict everything that will come our way. In Chapter 13, Morgan Housel emphasizes that the best strategy for dealing with this uncertainty is to build in room for error, to plan for the unexpected rather than assuming everything will go according to plan. The quote Housel uses to drive this point home is powerful. The margin of safety is the only effective way to handle an unknown future. What does this mean? Simply put, a margin of safety is the buffer you create between what you expect to happen and the risks you might face. It's about making decisions that allow you some breathing room in case things don't go as planned. For example, investing in stocks that are undervalued or holding some cash reserves in case of emergencies gives you the flexibility to navigate the unpredictable without collapsing under the weight of unforeseen circumstances. This strategy is as relevant in investing as it is in life. Many people take on risky investments or over-leverage themselves because they feel confident in their ability to predict outcomes. But, as history has shown time and again, the unexpected is inevitable. Whether it's an economic downturn, an unexpected health crisis, or a change in the market, no one can foresee every possible obstacle. The key is to plan with the understanding that the future will throw surprises your way. By building in a margin of safety, you allow yourself the chance to recover from setbacks. This cushion gives you flexibility to take calculated risks without exposing yourself to catastrophic losses. It's a smarter, more sustainable approach to wealth building, one that prioritizes security over short-term gain. The margin of safety doesn't mean playing it safe all the time. It means being prepared. It's about finding a balance between risk and security. You don't want to be paralyzed by fear of the unknown, but you also don't want to bet everything on the idea that the future will unfold exactly as you expect. So, as you go about building your financial future, remember this: leave room for error. Build flexibility into your plans, prepare for the unexpected, And remember that a little extra safety margin will help you weather the inevitable storms that life will throw your way. Because, in the end, the unknown future is far less daunting when you've given yourself the cushion to navigate it confidently. Chapter 14. You'll change. One of the most important truths about life and wealth building is that you will change, and so will your goals. In Chapter 14, Morgan Housel points out that while long-term planning is crucial, the future is rarely as predictable as we hope, and our ambitions, desires, and priorities evolve over time. The mistake many people make when it comes to wealth building is assuming that their future self will want the same things they want now. They rigidly plan for specific outcomes, only to find that as they grow, their goals and values shift. And that's perfectly okay. In fact, flexibility should be at the core of any long-term plan, because the person you are today might not be the same person in 10, 20, or 30 years. This chapter is a reminder that the best plans allow room for change. Rigid, fixed goals might feel comforting in the short term, but they can be a barrier to growth in the long run. If you're focused on saving and investing for a specific purpose, like buying a dream house or retiring by 50, your circumstances might change, and so might your desires. What seemed like the ultimate goal could shift as you evolve, just as the way you approach money and wealth will evolve with you. Housel encourages us to plan for who we're becoming, not just who we are now. Think about the person you might be 10 years from today. What will you value then? What will your life look like? Instead of committing to one rigid future, give yourself the freedom to change direction as your life unfolds. This allows you to embrace new opportunities and goals that align with your future self. We often forget that wealth building isn't a one-time destination. It's a lifelong journey. Your financial strategy should evolve as you do. Planning for flexibility, rather than a fixed outcome, helps you stay aligned with your changing goals, desires, and values. It gives you the freedom to pivot when needed and adjust to life's surprises. The message here is clear. Your long-term goals should not be set in stone. Allow space for growth, for new priorities, and for the inevitable changes that will shape your life. By planning for who you're becoming, you ensure that your wealth-building strategy stays relevant, fulfilling, and true to your evolving vision of success. Chapter 15. Nothing's free. In Chapter 15, Morgan Housel confronts a harsh reality that many people overlook in their pursuit of wealth. Nothing is free. Every decision we make, especially when it comes to money, comes with a price. The price of wealth isn't just financial. It often involves volatility, uncertainty, and stress. These are the costs that come with trying to build and maintain wealth, and it's essential to understand what you're truly signing up for. When you invest your money or take on financial risks, there's an inherent price to pay. Market volatility. Stock prices fluctuate, markets rise and fall, and there's no guarantee of returns. While you can make smart decisions and employ strategies that minimize risk, uncertainty is always present. This unpredictability can be stressful. It creates moments of doubt, fear, and second-guessing. In short, wealth comes at the cost of emotional strain. Are you prepared to handle this? But there's another layer to the price of wealth: the emotional toll. As Housel points out, chasing wealth requires a certain mindset, one that involves delayed gratification, the risk of failure, and the psychological burden of wondering whether all the sacrifices are worth it. The higher the potential rewards, the greater the emotional strain that can come with pursuing them. The constant worry, the market crashes, the uncertainty about the future, it's all part of the equation. We need to ask ourselves, Are we willing to pay the emotional price for wealth? If you want financial freedom, if you want to build wealth, are you ready to manage the stress that comes with it? Are you prepared to weather the emotional roller coaster that accompanies risk-taking and market downturns? Housel emphasizes that wealth isn't just about accumulating assets, it's about being comfortable with the emotional cost that accompanies the pursuit of financial success. This doesn't mean wealth building is inherently bad, but it does mean that we need to weigh the emotional toll it can take and decide if it aligns with our values and mental well-being. Ultimately, the price of wealth is one you must be willing to pay. It's not just the financial cost, it's the emotional cost as well. Understanding this reality helps you approach wealth building with a more balanced perspective, ensuring that you're not just pursuing wealth for its own sake, but doing so in a way that fits your life goals and emotional capacity. The road to financial success may be paved with uncertainty, but it's up to you to decide if it's worth the price. Chapter 16. You and Me. In Chapter 16, Morgan Housel delivers a critical lesson that many investors overlook. One investor's strategy can be another's nightmare. What works for one person may not work for you, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to recognize that there is no universal formula for success in investing. The right approach is the one that aligns with your own goals, values, and risk tolerance. In investing, it's tempting to look at the success of others and assume that their strategies will work for you too. You might see a friend getting rich from high-risk, high-reward investments, or hear about an investor who made a fortune in real estate. While these strategies may have worked for them, it doesn't mean they'll work for you. The point Housel makes is that everyone's financial situation and risk tolerance are unique. What feels comfortable and exciting to one person may feel overwhelming and stressful to someone else. Take, for instance, the idea of investing in volatile stocks. For some investors, the thrill of seeing large swings in the market is a challenge they enjoy, a game that keeps them engaged and invested. But for others, this same volatility could be a source of anxiety, leading to rash decisions, impulsive buying and selling, and ultimately financial losses. The same investment in different hands can yield completely different experiences. Housel's lesson is simple. Play your own game. Don't try to replicate the strategies of others just because they're working for them. Instead, take the time to understand what works best for your unique financial goals, risk tolerance, and emotional comfort level. The path to wealth is not a one-size-fits-all journey. Whether you prefer the steady growth of index funds, the excitement of individual stocks, or the security of bonds, the most important thing is to choose a strategy that suits you. There's no need to follow the crowd or chase trends. Focus on your own financial objectives, your own timeline, and your own comfort level with risk. When you're playing your own game, you'll feel more in control, less stressed, and more confident in your ability to reach your goals. Remember, wealth building is deeply personal. The best strategy is the one that feels right for you, not the one that worked for someone else. So, embrace your unique financial journey and play your own game with confidence. Chapter 17. The Seduction of Pessimism. In Chapter 17, Morgan Housel delves into a psychological trap that many investors and individuals fall into: the seduction of pessimism. It's easy to be drawn to bad news, negative forecasts, and worst-case scenarios because pessimism feels more intelligent, more reasonable, and more grounded in reality. But, as Housel points out, this attraction to negativity can be dangerous and can cloud our judgment, making us overlook opportunities and adopt a mindset that hinders long-term success. Bad news, whether it's about the economy, the stock market, or global events, tends to dominate headlines. Pessimistic perspectives are often louder, more dramatic, and more compelling than optimistic ones. It's human nature to pay more attention to the risks, the dangers, and the potential for disaster. Bad news taps into our fears, making us feel more in control when we anticipate the worst. In contrast, optimism, especially realistic optimism, can seem naive, overly simplistic, or even reckless. Housel argues that this attraction to pessimism can skew our perceptions of reality and lead to paralysis by fear, where we avoid taking action because we're so focused on the negative possibilities. The key, he says, is to embrace realistic optimism, acknowledging the risks and challenges while also recognizing the potential for positive outcomes. Realistic optimism is not about ignoring the obstacles in front of us or pretending everything will always work out perfectly. Instead, it's about understanding that progress is often slow and messy, but that long-term success is entirely possible. Optimism allows us to see the opportunities in every setback, to understand that growth often comes through hardship, and to trust that our efforts will eventually pay off. It's about being resilient in the face of adversity, not overly cautious or paralyzed by fear. For investors, realistic optimism means being aware of the inherent risks in any financial decision, but not letting those risks dictate your every move. It's about staying committed to your goals, focusing on the bigger picture, and understanding that while there will be dips and setbacks, the long-term trend is often upward. In life, just as in investing, embracing realistic optimism can help you stay motivated and move forward. By understanding that both good and bad news are part of the journey, you can avoid getting stuck in the cycle of pessimism and instead make more balanced, informed decisions. Ultimately, don't let pessimism steal your focus. Instead, embrace the idea that setbacks are temporary and the future is full of possibilities. Chapter 18. When You'll Believe Anything. In Chapter 18, Morgan Housel explores a fascinating and often troubling psychological tendency. In times of crisis, people are far more likely to believe comforting lies than face uncomfortable truths. Whether it's during financial crashes, natural disasters, or personal hardships, people tend to seek out narratives that offer reassurance, even when those stories are far from accurate. Why do we do this? Simply put, during crises, uncertainty and fear trigger our need for control. The unknown can be paralyzing, and in an attempt to regain a sense of security, people often latch onto information that soothes their anxieties, even if it isn't grounded in reality. These comforting lies might promise quick solutions or an easy way out, but they often lead to deeper trouble in the long run. It's easier to believe that the market will rebound in a few months, or that a miracle cure will fix everything. But these illusions often prevent us from making sound, rational decisions in times of panic. Housel stresses that calm and truth are powerful allies in such situations. While most people rush to make decisions based on fear and false hope, those who can remain grounded in reality, while still being compassionate and understanding of others' fears, are far more likely to navigate crises successfully. By facing the truth and maintaining a sense of calm, you gain the clarity needed to make decisions that are both rational and sustainable, rather than being swept away by the current of panic and misinformation. The lesson here is clear. Truth and calm lead to power during panic. In a crisis, the ability to stay grounded, assess the situation objectively, and avoid falling into the trap of comforting lies gives you an edge. This is not about being heartless or indifferent to the suffering of others. It's about focusing on what you can control, staying rational and making decisions based on facts, not fear. In financial markets, for instance, the most successful investors often are the ones who can weather downturns without succumbing to panic or buying into the latest sensational predictions. They stay calm, make informed decisions, and trust that, over time, things will stabilize. So, in your own life, remember this. In moments of crisis, seek the truth, embrace calmness, and resist the temptation to believe in comforting lies. It's in those moments that your ability to stay clear-headed and grounded becomes your greatest asset. Chapter 19. All Together Now. In Chapter 19, Morgan Housel brings everything together with a powerful recap of the major principles that have guided the journey through the psychology of money. He reinforces the idea that building wealth is not just about numbers. It's about mindset, behavior, and long-term thinking. The most successful individuals in the world don't necessarily have the highest income or the best investment strategies, but they follow a few simple, enduring principles that ensure financial success and emotional well-being over the course of their lives. First, saving is the cornerstone of wealth building. It's not about how much you earn, but how much you keep and how diligently you save. Wealth is built over time, and it requires a commitment to saving, even in small amounts, with consistency. Saving is what gives you the freedom to choose and the security to navigate life's uncertainties. It's the act of preserving your resources for future opportunities, not spending them impulsively on immediate desires. Next, patience is essential. As Housel emphasizes throughout the book, the most significant returns often come from the compound effects of time. Whether you're investing in the stock market, real estate, or your career, success requires the ability to be patient and let things unfold at their natural pace. It's easy to become frustrated or tempted to chase quick wins, but true wealth takes time to accumulate, and the most successful individuals are those who can wait for their investments to grow without needing instant gratification. Humility is another crucial principle. No matter how successful you become, it's essential to stay grounded, and remember that luck and circumstances play a significant role in wealth building. Housel repeatedly highlights that no one is immune to setbacks, and there's always more to learn. Staying humble means being open to adapting and adjusting your strategies as you go. It allows you to remain flexible, learn from mistakes, and avoid the trap of overconfidence. Finally, thinking long-term is key. The biggest mistake people make is focusing on short-term gains instead of developing strategies that will ensure long-term stability. Whether it's your financial goals, your career, or personal development, thinking long-term allows you to weather the storms and keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Housel concludes by reminding us that money is a lifelong emotional journey. It's not just about amassing wealth, it's about navigating the ups and downs of life with a mindset that prioritizes wisdom, patience, and emotional resilience. Wealth is built slowly, through small, consistent actions and decisions that align with your values. Ultimately, it's not about the number in your bank account, but the peace of mind you find on the journey. Chapter 20. Confessions. In Chapter 20, Morgan Housel takes a personal turn and shares his own money beliefs, offering a candid look at his financial philosophy. He makes it clear that his approach isn't perfect, nor is it intended to be a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. Rather, Housel's money philosophy is personal, shaped by his experiences, his mistakes, and the lessons he's learned along the way. He invites readers to understand that the journey of financial wisdom is unique to each individual, and the key is to find what works for you rather than blindly adopting someone else's principles. Housel confesses that, like many people, he once believed that wealth building was purely about math, strategy, and hard-nosed financial decisions. Over time, however, he realized that the psychological and emotional components of money matter just as much. It's not just about getting the numbers right. It's about understanding how money impacts your emotions, your choices, and your long-term happiness. His experience, much like anyone's, has shown that the emotional side of wealth often trumps the rational side, especially when it comes to decision-making during stressful times. He acknowledges that his money beliefs have evolved over time. Early on, he was more focused on accumulation, thinking that the more money he could earn and save, the better. But as time went on, Husserl began to realize that wealth is more about freedom and autonomy than simply having a large bank balance. The ability to make decisions without financial pressure, the flexibility to take risks, and the peace of mind that comes with knowing your future is secure became more important to him than constantly pushing for more. Husserl's confession is an important reminder that there is no universal, perfect financial philosophy. What works for one person may not work for another. He encourages readers to reflect on their own relationship with money, to embrace their individual experiences, and to create a financial philosophy that aligns with their unique goals, values, and life circumstances. The overarching lesson is simple yet profound. Don't try to adopt someone else's approach to money. Instead, take the time to understand your own beliefs, challenges, and aspirations, and build a philosophy that works for you. Wealth is not about mimicking others, but about finding what brings you financial peace and happiness. Ultimately, your financial journey is about creating a path that's as unique as you are. Money wisdom that changes you. As we come to the end of the psychology of money, the message is clear. Money is not just about numbers. It's not merely a measure of how much you have or how much you can accumulate over time. Instead, it's about mindset, habits, and choices. The deeper wisdom this book offers isn't found in complex investment strategies or financial formulas. It lies in the psychological and emotional understanding of money. It's about how we think about it, how we handle it, and ultimately, how we let it shape our lives. At the heart of this book is a lesson that resonates deeply with anyone seeking true financial success. Wealth is not a destination. It's a mindset. Morgan Housel beautifully captures this truth, revealing that true wealth building is less about getting the right numbers and more about getting your mind right. It's about embracing the quiet discipline of saving, the patience of long-term investing, and the humility to accept that you will never fully control everything, especially not money. This emotional and mental approach to money isn't something that's taught in schools or handed down through financial gurus. It's an inner journey, one that requires self-awareness and humility. The wisdom in this book encourages you to reflect on your relationship with money, to understand not just your financial goals, but the emotional baggage, biases, and beliefs that shape the way you make decisions. Housel asks us to recognize that many of us are carrying financial beliefs that no longer serve us, beliefs that may have been passed down by our families, society, or even our own past experiences. These beliefs shape our financial behavior, often without us even realizing it. Are you holding on to old ideas about money that are no longer helpful? Are you still making decisions based on fear, scarcity, or the desire to impress others? Reflecting on these questions is the first step toward breaking free from financial patterns that keep you stuck. The key to true wealth, Husserl argues, lies in respecting the unknown and accepting that you don't have all the answers. The future of money is uncertain, and you cannot predict every twist and turn along the way. But what you can control is your response to it. Wealth isn't just about accumulating more, it's about embracing the journey, learning from your mistakes, and cultivating habits that ensure you're always moving in the right direction, even if you don't have a perfect map. It's about being comfortable with the fact that the road to financial security is often bumpy, with plenty of surprises and detours. Instead of focusing on the destination, it's the mindset and habits you form along the way that will ultimately determine your financial freedom. Husserl's message isn't one of doom or pessimism. Instead, it's a call to embrace realistic optimism. To understand that while we cannot control every outcome, we do have the power to shape our actions, beliefs, and responses. That's the true power of wealth. It's not just the result of smart financial decisions. It's a reflection of how you live your life, how you approach risk and uncertainty, and how you manage your emotions in the face of financial challenges. Ultimately, the psychology of money is about self-reflection. It's about taking the time to ask yourself deeper questions. What beliefs am I carrying that no longer serve me financially? What habits or mindsets have I developed over the years that might be holding me back from building the life I truly want? This is the most powerful kind of financial education, one that starts with you. The journey to financial freedom is a personal one, shaped by your mindset, your values, and the way you respond to the world around you. In the end, wealth is not a number on a balance sheet. It's a state of mind, a collection of habits, and the result of the choices you make every day. It's the ability to manage risk, to understand the power of compounding, to stay humble, and to respect the uncertainty of life. As Morgan Housel powerfully states, wealth is not a number. It's a mindset, a habit, and a choice. When you adopt this perspective, money becomes something far more powerful than just a tool. It becomes a reflection of who you are and how you choose to live. As you move forward, remember that financial wisdom doesn't come from simply accumulating knowledge. It comes from transforming how you see yourself in relation to money. It's not about finding the perfect strategy. It's about building a relationship with money that aligns with your life's true goals. 5 simple rules to master. Money psychology. As we wrap up this deep dive into the psychology of money, it's important to leave you with actionable steps. Simple rules that will help you apply the timeless principles of the book in your own life. These rules are not just theoretical concepts, but practical strategies you can implement today to build a healthier relationship with money and set yourself up for long-term success. 1. Define what enough means for you. The first step toward mastering your money psychology is defining what enough looks like for you. So many people chase wealth without ever stopping to ask, how much is enough? When we don't define what enough means, we often fall into the trap of endless accumulation. Always wanting more, always chasing the next goal. But true contentment comes from knowing when you've reached your version of enough. Whether it's financial freedom, a specific lifestyle, or peace of mind. Ask yourself, how much money would it take for me to feel secure, happy, and free? Define this for yourself, and stop chasing after the elusive idea of more. 2. Save more than you think you need, just in case. Building wealth isn't just about how much you earn or invest. It's about how much you keep. Saving more than you think you need is essential for building a financial cushion to weather unexpected storms. The key to wealth is security, not just growth. Saving a little more than you expect to need gives you the flexibility to face challenges with peace of mind. This just-in-case savings fund should give you the freedom to take risks in your investments and your career while still feeling secure. Aim to save consistently, even if it's a small amount, and always keep some reserve for life's uncertainties. 3. Focus on time in the market, not timing the market. One of the most important concepts in investing is the idea that time in the market beats timing the market. Many people get caught up in trying to predict market movements and making short-term, reactive decisions. But the truth is, markets are unpredictable. Instead of trying to predict when to buy and sell, focus on staying invested over the long term. The longer you stay in the market, the more likely you are to benefit from the power of compounding returns. The goal isn't to time the perfect moment. It's to remain patient and let your investments grow over time. 4. Use money to gain control over your time. Money should be a tool to gain control over your time, not just an end goal. One of the greatest powers of wealth is the ability to make decisions without the constraints of financial stress. Whether it's having the freedom to choose how you spend your day or the ability to pursue a passion without worrying about money, wealth is ultimately about freedom. The more money you have, the more choices you can make about your time. Whether that's choosing a job that aligns with your values or having the flexibility to spend time with loved ones. Make money work for you by prioritizing time and freedom over the pursuit of material possessions. 5. Accept uncertainty. Plan for flexibility, not perfection. Finally, accept that uncertainty is inevitable in both life and money. No one can predict the future, and the path to wealth is rarely straight. The key is to plan for flexibility, not perfection. Rather than obsessing over trying to craft the perfect financial plan, focus on creating a plan that allows for adjustments along the way. Build in the ability to adapt to changing circumstances, whether that's economic shifts, personal challenges, or new opportunities. The most successful people are those who can roll with the punches, make adjustments when necessary, and stay focused on their long-term goals. By applying these 5 simple rules, defining your version of enough, saving more than you think you need, focusing on long-term growth, using money for time and freedom, and planning for flexibility, you'll master the psychology of money and build a healthier, more sustainable relationship with your finances. Remember, money is not just about numbers. It's about making choices that align with your values and living a life of peace and freedom. A personal reflection. As we come to the end of this journey through the psychology of money, I want to leave you with one final thought. You don't need to be a genius to be wealthy. Wealth isn't about complex strategies or making bold, risky moves. It's about being patient, calm, and wise in your decisions. And that, my friend, is something we can all choose. Money is not a race, it's a marathon. It's not about how fast you run, but how consistently you move forward. And while the path may seem complicated at times, the core principles of mastering money psychology are simple. It's about knowing you're enough, saving consistently, investing for the long term, and using money to gain control over your time and freedom. It's about understanding that uncertainty is part of the journey and choosing to remain flexible in the face of it. Now, I want to ask you, what have you learned through this book, and how will you act differently moving forward? Will you start saving more, defining your enough, or shifting your focus from short-term gains to long-term growth? Reflect on the principles that resonated with you the most, and think about how you can begin applying them in your own life. Remember, building wealth is not about making all the right moves. It's about making the right moves consistently. Patience, calm, and wisdom are the true keys to success. And those qualities are something we can all choose every day. Take a moment to reflect on where you are now and where you want to be. The power to change your financial future is in your hands. Choose wisely. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps the channel grow and reach more people. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on future content. Thanks for watching. Where are you watching from?